GeoCloud portfolio manager, looking at the relationships with partners within Cegal. And he will now give us a short introduction to GeoCloud and Cegal. Please go ahead, Paul.
Yep. Hello all. My name is Paul Hovdenak. As Stoffer said, I'm working in the Cegal software portfolio team with responsibility for the partner programs. I'm a geologist with a long background from reservoir modeling domain, and worked a long time with software products like RMS and Pachel that are quite computer heavy with regards to graphics and compute power. So in my next 12-minute talk, I will try to give you some perspectives on GeoCloud from an end user point of view. So if the technology is with me, I'll be able to switch to the next slide. There we go. This slide shows you the overall Cegal positioning of products and services. The gray boxes are the main business lines, where, of course, the cloud solutions on the left-hand side represents the major revenue contributor. The GeoCloud solution is those supported by our software products and also our consultancy services, while the cloud portal you see in the middle is the interface to the IT environment. Yeah. So what is then GeoCloud all about? First of all, it's a petrotechnical desktop as a service, meaning it's a remote hosted IT environment where you as an end user, you log on to a so-called VDI, virtual desktop interface. Basically, it's a PC sitting in a different location than yourself. And all our hardware, PC hardware, resides in data centers we have in Cegal, and can be dedicated hardware or can be shared depending on your needs, your cost limitations, contractual obligations, also laws and regulations can play a factor here. Currently, our data centers are a mix of our own Cegal data centers, but also data centers where we have a secured dedicated capacity. In addition, we are also now supporting the use of Microsoft data centers through the Azure cloud solutions. So with GeoCloud, we utilize existing technologies for providing the required performance for the IT environment. And we have in particular become experts on applications requiring heavy 3D graphics and CPU intensive operations. With the coronavirus and the lockdown all of us have experienced, the need to work remotely has really become a vital requirement. At Cegal, we have a very good experience with working remotely, and going forwards, I believe we generally will see a change towards increased flexibility on the location where we work from. In fact, several companies in Norway already allow employees to choose where they work from, of course, as long as you meet objectives and timeframes, etc. So with GeoCloud, you can work from wherever you want, maintaining easy and secure single sign-on access to your own personalized IT environment. Okay, next slide is hopefully coming up. There we go. So as an end user, you log on as normal on a predefined configuration depending on your needs and privileges, etc. With GeoCloud, we offer a tiering model for the user profiles to ensure that we keep control on the costs, access rights, access to required compute power, etc. And with the different profiles, we of course set the different cost levels. This solution then becomes a really excellent setup for scaling operations. For example, through bad times with staff reductions or better times when you increase your staff, also with company mergers, etc. Let's see if I can swap to the next slide now. It's a bit of a lag here. Okay, it seems like I need some help from you, Stoffe. There we go. Next slide. So in Cegal, we have a strong competence with, of course, within IT and IT operations, with very effective processes for handling customer tickets, changes in the operations, and this is all handled by our global service desk, providing excellent customer support 24/7. So everything from trivial IT-related questions to first-line support of some of the hosted ENP applications. So talking about applications, moving on to the next slide. With GeoCloud, we have now deployed this solution for 30 plus oil companies, where we host a lot of different software applications. In fact, there's about 2,000 hosted today. Of course, this includes a bit of the back office applications around, but 300 plus of the applications we host will be within the exploration production workflows, and we regard 30 to 50 of them to be of particular importance. Because Petrel is often regarded as a benchmark application, as it has quite heavy 3D graphics requirements. There we go. This is more than just Petrel. We have lots of different vendors. In fact, there's about 300, as I mentioned, applications within the ENP domain. Some applications are small, some of them are much larger and require heavier resources. Some vendors have many applications, like Halliburton, Schlumberger, for example, and others have fewer. So this is a bit of a selection of the logos. You might recognize a few of them. So coming back to the portal, which is the access point for your IT environment and access point for these applications. So depending on what application you as a company have access to, this is where you will find these applications. And this portal can be tailor-made for specific individual needs with regards to privileges, also compute power if you need, for example, high performance HPC clusters. And of course, this portal is very important for secure access, single sign-on access. And it's also important for all your IT-related support. It's all handled through this portal. So moving on to workflows and the ability to choose best-in-class workflows. We, as an agnostic vendor, we support all applications equally. And I'm going to show you an example here of a specific workflow where we have put together different applications from different vendors, where in this case we have used our own tool, actually, Cegal tool, seismic data management, to use it to search disks and cloud storage for whatever seismic you have available, and then do some preparations and selections of the data to be used, pushing that further into another application called GeoTeric that is developed and marketed by the company GeoTeric. So in this step, we're doing some conditioning and some cleaning of the data, some denoise, etc., to prepare it for pushing it forwards to another application called PaleoScan from a company called Elise, where we've done some automatic interpretation of horizons and faults in order to construct a structural model of faults and horizons, then to be used further on, pushing into Petrel, for example, to build a reservoir model. And in this case, we've used our own Cegal protocol, Blueback Rocks Velocity, to assist the depth conversion part of this step. We also used a tool from our Blueback toolbox to connect into the next application on this little workflow example called T-Navigator, where we take the upscale reservoir model and push it into T-Navigator's in order to do flow simulation and also some post-processing of these simulation results. So this is one example, and we've in Cegal as the agnostic independent integrator, we're in an excellent position to advise and suggest and certify workflows involving different applications from different vendors and provide connectors where needed. Now I'm moving a little bit into the domain of the IT admin world, and with hundreds of applications in your oil company setup, it's very important to maintain, control, and manage all these. So this is a bit of a familiar metaphor, I hope, the iPhone. The iPhone provides info and good control of the installed apps and things like data consumption, subscription costs, vendor versions, vendor and application versions, license information, and so on. So the question is, do you have the similar type of overview for your company's application portfolio? So typically, no, it's quite complex. The application landscape is complex, and it quickly is a oh no situation. It's challenging to sort out, and if you look at that schematic image to the right, it's quite typical to see a lot of interdependencies and a complex pattern. So from our experience with our clients, we see that there's a strong need then to look into services around how you can analyze your application portfolio. And I'm going to show you a little bit now, a couple of slides on this. So application management as a service is an offering we have, and this example here will show you a little bit on how we can dashboard and get an overview of your application spend by location in order to trigger or analyze currency exposure. For example, explore potential tax optimization or identify overlapping functionality among legacy applications in different locations. You can look at spend by business processes, drilling down on department and divisions to enable analysis of application spend, auditing how applications fulfill business needs. And the little image to the right, spend by vendor, analyze spend by vendor, can uncover overlapping contracts, for example, triggering contract consolidations or enable possible discount opportunities. A little bit more if you look into the application portfolio, you can investigate the entire application budget, drilling down, focusing on spend categories, vendor spend, application spend. It all makes it possible to analyze and track cost drivers. So application lifecycle, applications are in various stages, but it requires, whether it's in engineering, procurement, or deployment implementation, or it's going towards a retired position of its life cycle. So analyzing the state and drilling down can uncover possible wastes or excessive spend. So finally, application roadmap, looking at license expiration dates from contracts, looking at T's and C's, and investigate possible actions to be taken. These actions can then be put in a calendar for a full roadmap of your entire portfolio. So contract and license renewals is also a time to reinvestigate whether vendors are willing to offer discounts or if there are any opportunities within the contract. So finally, on license optimization, always a good thing to keep control on. For subscription-based licensing models, it makes sense to monitor and optimize license utilization, as these are recurring and there is a significant return on investment in reducing to a sustainable level of licenses. Also, the license analysis might uncover whether there is a need to scale up or scale down the license count. So our consultants, they perform all these kinds of analysis and provide recommendations and actions, and it's all presented through these nice dashboards, as you see here. So this leads me to my final slide here, the GeoCloud by Cegal key takeaway points. First of all, it's the go-to solution for the oil industry to optimize cost and delivery of the IT environment. It is also a future-proof solution where we've invested a lot in trying to maximize the automation both for setup and the operations. It now also supports the Microsoft Azure data centers and the IT hardware infrastructure they provide. GeoCloud also is providing a central data platform, making it a lot easier to ingest data and also the data storage, data QC, and serving software applications, which kind of leads on to today's topic. To be able to do good data science workflows, you need to have data in one central location. And with regards to OSDU, as most of you might have heard of, we're also now operating and delivering GeoCloud with OSDU. Finally, GeoCloud is a vendor-neutral petrotechnical cloud solution, and we ensure that every application gets a top performance setup. This enables you, as you saw in my example, to select the best-in-class workflows using then software applications from different vendors. I think that's on time, Stoffe. That was all from me.
Thank you very much, Paul. There's a few questions here. There's one on if you can monitor licenses from different locations through the GeoCloud solution, if you have offices around the world.
Yep. Yes, you can do that. I would, depending on what country you have your operations in, the key point is to have a centrally monitored system. And in some countries, there are quite large restrictions on bandwidth and how you can communicate. So typically there will be local solutions, but of course it all can be consolidated. But that will be, in those cases, more of a manual process. But the system is set up for for handling multiple locations.
Can you run the multiple geoteric suite with the AI capabilities on GeoCloud?
We have not tested that new setup from geoteric, so we don't have enough detail to answer that at the moment.
Okay, we'll get back on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll leave it with questions there.